That was ice from my air condition. Hi everybody, so in March I read a grand total of 4 books for a total of some amount of pages, and I'll be talking about all of those books today. So as per usual, we'll be talking about these books in order of my least favorite to favorite. I rated 2 books 3 stars, one of them got 4 stars and the other one got 5 stars, so let's talk about all of these hoes. The first book I read I gave a solid 3 stars, and let me tell you, this is the most iconic 3-star book that I've ever read in my entire life. It is a stunning piece of literature and it's called Hannah Montana Swept Up by Susan Harper. Yeah, I just went to my cousin's house and I was just like going through his old childhood books and I saw he had this and he was like, I never read that, and I was like, okay, I want to read it, so I borrowed it. And it was honestly a mess. It is basically like an extended episode of Hannah Montana, but extremely different. Basically, we're following Miley as she goes to Nantucket as Hannah Montana along with her 2 best friends, Lily and Oliver, her bodyguard Roxy, her dad, and her brother. And while she's there, she has to do this kind of photo shoot thing, and she's not very comfortable with it because she just wants to be a regular old girl and have fun on the beach in Nantucket. And then she meets this boy called Sam who's a sailor, and she has like a crush on him, and the book is about how she tries to pursue him. And then there's this subplot going on with Lily and Oliver, who are staying by Lily's great aunt, who happens to be a famous mystery novel writer, and they are suspecting that something is quite sinister with her because her house is really creepy. She talks to her cat in Dutch. They think that she's up to something, so there's this like mystery side plot going on, which was just very odd because Oliver was apparently a book lover, and I don't recall him being a book lover in the show, but he was a book lover in the book. I heard the fake recorded audience laughing whilst reading this book, so that's how corny it was and how reminiscent it was of the show. But my favorite aspect of this book had to be Roxy, the bodyguard. Now, Roxy was the only person of color in this entire Disney farmer for the entire Hannah Montana series, and she played such a huge role in this book. She's like a friend and a mother to Miley. At the same time, she cares so much about Miley, she looks out for Miley, she does so much for Miley, and Miley's such an ungrateful little brat and never really truly appreciates it. And this book kind of made me wish that throughout the show Roxy played more of a role like she did in here, because I think she was a really underrated character and a character that deserved some more spotlight. But I'm glad she got it in this book at least. So yeah, I rated this 3 stars. It was corny and it was cute, and I don't recommend it. The next 3-star book I gave 3.75 stars to, and that was Starfish by Akemi Dawn Bowman. This is a YA contemporary about a girl called Kiko who is graduating school, and she wants to get into this fancy art school because she wants to become an artist. It's her one true passion. Unfortunately, she does not have a good support system at home. Her father recently left to start a new family. She's very distant from her 2 brothers, and then her mother is very emotionally abusive towards Kiko, and that's kind of like one of the prime focuses of this book. So tension starts to ensue when her mother allows her brother Kiko's uncle Max to come back and visit them and stay with them while he tries to get back on his feet. And the thing about Max is that he sexually assaulted Kiko when she was younger, but when Kiko told her mother this as a child, her mother never believed her. So this sort of brings back a lot of unpleasant memories in the family, and Kiko decides to not really run away, but she leaves the house and goes to California to rekindle a friendship she had with a childhood friend that turns into somewhat of a romance. I enjoyed this book for the most part. The main issue I had with it is that we spent a lot of time in Kiko's head, which is not really a bad thing, but I think I read it at the wrong time, because I think I read this book at a time where I was looking for more plot-driven stories, and this was very much focused on character development and Kiko's development and internal development throughout the entire novel. So while I enjoyed that, there was so much inner monologue that it started to get long-winded at times, and I think that's ultimately what brought the book down for me just a little bit. And also because of the fact that we're spending so much time in Kiko's head, I couldn't particularly connect myself to the other characters. Like her love interest, I can't remember his name, like I think Jamie or something. All these white boys be named Jamie. I just honestly couldn't care less about him. He could have not existed in this book and it would have made no difference for me. Things that I liked about this book, there were 3 main things. There was first Hiroshi, who was a mentor to Kiko while she was staying in California. He's an artist who tries to help her find her talent, and I think that the kind of relationship she had with him was reminiscent of the father-daughter relationship she was missing with her father. So I really enjoyed his presence in the book. Another thing that I loved about this book was the fact that Kiko had to come to the realization that people can't always change for you and adjust themselves to suit the sort of relationship you want them to have with you. She struggles throughout the novel to try and to hope and to attempt to get her mother to have that sort of mother-daughter relationship that she always wanted, until she realizes that she can't change her mother, and sometimes you just have to be okay with people in life being shitty and just move on and cut them off. And I really adored that part of the book, even though it was a very difficult thing to grasp and a very challenging thing to read. And the other thing that I loved about this book was the fact that Kiko had to find her sense of beauty and what beauty meant for her. That was a huge part of this novel because Kiko is half Japanese, half white. Her mother, who is white, is the stereotypical beautiful blonde blue-eyed type of person, and she often uses this against Kiko. She tries to belittle Kiko and make her think that she's not beautiful because of the fact that she has more Asian features, smaller eyes and a flatter nose, and Kiko genuinely internalizes this and believes that she is not beautiful, that she's just an average looking girl, whatever that means. And she had to come to the realization throughout this book that that's not true. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And while that's definitely something that might be obvious to somebody like me or to many people watching this video, you have to remember this book is for young adults, it's for teenagers, and I think that's a very important narrative for young teenage girls and young teenage boys as well to internalize, especially when it comes to being biracial and when it comes to being a minority in the United States, where the beauty standard is often the more Eurocentric type of features. So I really enjoyed this book for all of those reasons. It had some other little faults and flaws that could have been worked on, but it's a debut novel and I definitely do look forward to reading more from this author. Again, I gave it 3.75 stars and I would highly recommend it. Then I finally did the thing where I read Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. I know. I have been holding off on this book for too long. I bought it all the way back in 2016 and I finally now read it. Obviously I read it because the movie is coming out. It already came out like in the States and all other parts of the world, but in Trinidad it's not coming out till the 11th of April, so I'm just waiting for that, and I'm ready to go to that cinema. You should have seen me over the past few months when the trailers and everything was coming out. I was just like ducking. You know that, like that one video of, who was it, Lil Kim or something? I was just ducking like those trailers, like trying to avoid it because I didn't want to be spoiled by anything. But I came to the realization that you could be spoiled for this book and it really would not make a difference because I was spoiled. I did find out who Blue was when scrolling on Twitter and I didn't care. I was still shook because Becky Albertalli kind of makes it obvious who it is, and the point of this book is not to look at it as some sort of mystery as who's Blue, like what's the big reveal. Like the book is about Simon and his development and his realizations throughout the novel. So if you have been living under a rock, you probably still know what Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda is, but if that rock is real heavy and you deep under the ground, then basically this book is about a boy called Simon who's gay and he's in the closet and he starts an online anonymous relationship with this boy in his school. They are both going by pseudonyms, so he only knows the boy as Blue. He knows that Blue goes to his school, but he does not know who Blue is, and likewise Blue does not know who he is. So they develop this online relationship, emailing each other, sort of sharing their experiences as closeted gay boys, and then somebody somehow reads Simon's email and decides to blackmail him. It's ultimately a coming out narrative that tries to deal with the whole idea of coming out in a completely different way. It was done so well and I absolutely adored it. I adored everything about this book and it made me crave Oreos, and I should have bought Oreos when I went to the grocery Saturday while I was Saajid. Made it out. But yeah, I give that one 4 stars and obviously I would recommend it. And recommending that book is like recommending Harry Potter, let's be honest. And the final book that I read this month that was the best book that I read this month that I give a full 5 stars to was You Bring the Distant Near by Mitali Perkins, or as I like to call it, You Snatched My Wig from the Distance. Because listen, all throughout reading this book I felt the wind caressing my scalp because that's just how phenomenal it was. This is a young adult literary fiction novel. I've heard some people, I think Jenny from Head and Her Books, describe this as a YA literary fiction novel, and I think she definitely has something going with that description because it's a story that's very literary in nature but told through a young adult lens, and I absolutely love that. It's a family saga that takes place from the 1970s to the early 2000s. We're following 5 women across 3 generations in a Bengali family. First we have Rani, who was born and raised in India. Then we have Tara and Sonia, Rani's 2 daughters, who were born and raised partially in India and then raised also in England, and in their late teens they moved with the rest of their family to New York. And then we're following the daughters of Tara and Sonia, Anu and Shanti respectively. Anu was born in America but raised in India, and Shanti was born and raised in America and she is half black. I am struggling to find words to talk about how I feel about this book. It's ultimately a story about identity, as you can tell by that description, and how the intersections of who you are complicate your identity, be it your nationality, your race, where you come from, the kind of background that you have, where you're currently living right now. It's a book about immigration. It's a book about fitting into society and carving out a space in society so that you can fit in and so that you can make yourself comfortable wherever you are and whoever you are. One of the most powerful parts of this book that I think really encapsulates a lot of what this book is about was when Anu, the youngest of all the 5 women, moves to America to go to school, and while she's there she encounters a huge issue at the high school that she's attending with her cousin, and that's that in the girls' locker room they change in front of each other. And while the coach justifies this by saying that, you know, she doesn't want girls to be ashamed of their body, and that's definitely a valid thing, Anu goes like, but we still have to have respect for women who want to be modest and who want to cover up their bodies, and it's not a matter of us hating our bodies or being insecure, but it's just culturally how we are. We just don't want to reveal our bodies in front of other people, and that should be respected. So they go on this big mission to try to correct that when the school sort of ignores them, and I absolutely adored it. I loved what they did, and I think that really does kind of capture what this book is about. I mean, obviously there are many other things among the other characters that reflect the themes and the ideas explored in this novel, but that part of the book in particular really stuck out to me. So I definitely think that you should read this book. Again, it is wonderful, it is amazing, I absolutely adored it, and there's really nothing else I could say because I cannot find the words. Also, I didn't script this video or anything, so I'm just really disorganized, and it's been a while since I filmed, so I just forgot how to speak to the camera, but that's okay. So these are all of the books that I read this month. Definitely an amazing and wonderful reading month, and definitely better than February where I read literally nothing. Again, I would recommend all of these books, even the Hannah Montana one. Let's be honest, like, y'all know y'all want to read it, don't lie. And yeah, that being said, I would love to know your thoughts on any of these books if you've read any of them. Also, I forgot to mention, be sure to follow me on Twitter as usual, as well as on Instagram. Links will be in the description down below. The reason why I want you to follow me on Instagram is because I have been really wanting— Bird, shut up! I have been really wanting— Yo, I'm about to have a fight with this bird bitch. Hello, excuse me, I don't be tweeting when you— listen to me. Get out from by my window. Blasted animals. Anyways, what was I saying? Something. Right, follow me on Instagram because I have been doing Instagram stories where I do like live updates of the books that I read, because I've always wanted to do like monthly reading vlogs, but unfortunately that has never really worked out, and the Instagram stories are a really great way of me sort of doing that vlog style thing without having to like save footage and edit it later on. So go on my Instagram. I have 2 story highlights. One of them is for my entire reading month of March, and the other one is for the books that I started to read in April. So definitely go there, follow me up, and see what I'm doing. Again, links will be in the description. If you just want to find me, then you can find me at Saajid Hussein on both Twitter and Instagram. So please go ahead and do that. I also leave my Goodreads in the description down below as well, so you could follow me there as well. And that's it. Yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a lovely, lovely day. And until next time, inshallah, keep reading.